forgot to share something that is very interesting.
I'm sorry, we're out of time, Megan. Go ahead.
Oh, a bridge story.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of the Maryland Living Podcast. This is Megan Burke, and I'm with my co-hosts, John Reynolds and Pete FETTIG.
Hello.
Present and all accounted for.
Well, this was an exciting weekend.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, big deal. I was up in Maine and was very worried I was not going to make it back in time because everybody in my home is an Eagles fan, so they were just a little excited.
I think I saw you on a front loader moving some snow around.
I was on a front loader.
I respect that.
Thank
I think
you.
it's awesome.
I have skills you guys don't even know
It
about.
was a sweet tractor.
Can't take credit for that. That's my father's. And it snows so much in Maine that it's necessary to own your own
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah.
So
Earth-moving equipment.
it snowed 8 inches Saturday night.
Wow.
And I did not think I was going to get out of Maine, but
So
I did.
You left Maine, you're back in Maryland, and we're getting, 6 inches later today?
It's like 4 to 6, yeah.
Okay.
And you know how that goes. We'll have a foot or a dusting.
What did you guys think of the game?
Thought it was boring.
I mean, I'm glad the way it went the way it did, but if
likewise.
you're spending like $5,000 for tickets and it started the way it did, you feel like you're getting gypped.
I know people were leaving early.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah, it was, I loved it. It was entertaining.
Entertaining. At the halftime show, I thought was really entertaining.
Yeah, but now I've gone down a really pointless rabbit hole.
About the Drake-Kendrick Lamar feud.
To
You've got
quote
some
John
more work to
Reynolds,
do there.
it is not a valuable use of my time.
It could be, though. If it leads you to the old school hip hop, the real feuds back in the day. East Coast, West Coast,
I know, well,
Tupac, Biggie, the real hitters.
Thanks to you, Pete. Now I'm in the know.
I'm going to help you with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But
Cool.
Anyway, it was interesting. My family is extremely happy. We're heading to Philadelphia on Thursday for the
That's
parade.
huge.
For the homecoming parade.
Yeah, which is
Fantastic.
Friday.
What a way to
so-
spend Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
I can't think of a better way, actually.
Little nervous about the crowds, but apparently I was told that to get into Philadelphia, you have to by train or metro, you have to have won a lottery,
Oh, wow.
Really?
which is just
So they're expecting hundreds of thousands.
Well, you saw the after. I mean, they were burning stuff. They were
I
tearing
know.
up
Well, it's
cars.
Philly.
I know.
They seem to always be burning things
Yeah.
in Philadelphia.
But you think hopefully they got some of that out of their system and Friday be a little bit more tame, but you never know.
I hope
Right.
so. But did you see that, in
is a Friday.
Philadelphia, they grease the poles because
Right.
people were climbing
That's why they
poles.
just knock them over, so they have to climb them.
That's what they did.
they
yeah,
did.
Yeah.
they don't. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to climb them then.
There's a video on Instagram of people carrying the poles.
Yep.
It's just crazy. So
It's amazing.
a little nervous,
It's a
but
little crazy over
should
there.
be
Yeah,
should
so-
be a good time.
So to sum it up, I think the outcome of the game was what at least the three of us were kind of hoping for.
Yeah.
We could have a three-peat. That's
Apologies
just
to
nonsense.
my cousins in Kansas City. But yeah.
Well, if you don't win, you learn. Now
There
they
you
know
go.
they've got to
Yeah,
be prepared
absolutely.
for a serious defense next year.
So while you were in Maine, Pete and I had a nice little listing appointment.
Yeah.
On the Eastern Shore in Kent County.
Oh, good.
And it went pretty
Wharton,
well.
Maryland.
Wharton, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a few weeks since I've crossed the bridge, crossed the Chesapeake, and been over on the Eastern Shore, and I just love it over there.
I
Me
do
too.
Like you cross that bridge, and it's like you're in a different state.
Island time.
Yeah.
It's on, yeah, and
Megan and I were just talking about like
We
your
were
heart
literally-
rate.
yeah.
Just it drops a couple.
heart rate drops.
Yeah, it's just you.
Blood pressure just seems
Absolutely.
to come
You just
down.
relax.
It feels different. It looks different because the topography is so flat.
super flat over there.
So we had this listing appointment in Wharton in Kent County. It's kind of a bleak winter afternoon. We're driving up there.
Well, it was snowing a little bit on the
Yeah,
way.
it was
there.
snowing.
Yeah.
But it's a nice drive, and what I realized as we were driving over there is like it's really pretty over there.
Oh,
like
it's beautiful.
We drove through two old historic towns, Centerville and
Chestertown.
Okay.
And Wharton's, I guess, just a little north of Chestertown.
Yeah, just
like
beyond Chestertown.
8 miles or so. Yeah.
You're driving through these towns, and my GPS is taking me through like the old Main Street, the old historic districts, and you look around, and it's like these places. In a lot of respects, they've almost been frozen in time. Particularly Chestertown. Chestertown is beautiful.
Yeah,
and it
really
looks in many respects, probably exactly the same way it looked back in the early mid 1700s.
Okay.
It's really cool.
It's interesting how the real estate is different over there too.
It's the
It's still
eastern
affordable.
shore of Maryland is so much different than our side of the bay in many ways. You're absolutely right, Megan. Real estate is much more different. Much more different. Much different.
What's more affordable?
Yeah.
And, one of the other areas we can touch on is the city of Salisbury, which you guys may not know. We haven't had much activity from a real estate perspective over there recently. But it was founded in 1723, and it was incorporated in 1854. It's got a population of 30,000. It's the largest city on the Eastern Shore and the number one fastest growing city in all of Maryland, which
really?
surprised me. Yeah.
Do we know
I'm
what's
surprised.
driving that?
I don't. I mean, it could be the affordability component because one big thing over there, the median sales price is $415,000 for single family,
Right.
and that is below the national, which is, I mean, not by much, but $419,000.
Yeah.
And what is helping to drive all this is, we talk about the best places to live in the U.S. There's those rankings that are driven in this one. Salisbury from 2021 and through 2022, it was named 95 out of the 150 best places to live in the U.S. They were ranked number 26
Really?
on that list for the best place to retire, which is shocking being in Maryland.
In Maryland, yeah.
16th on number 16 as the fastest growing place, and number 20 on the safest place to live list. So out of all those metrics, it's ranking pretty highly.
Yeah.
And again, the affordability component is really big over there.
Yeah, I'd be curious to find out exactly what's driving that. I don't think it's where we live and work here. Everything is kind of based on commutability to
Right.
D.C., Baltimore, or Annapolis.
Yep.
That's not the case in Salisbury. I mean, Salisbury is 2 hours away
Yeah.
from here. It's
Right.
I mean, it's Salisbury is great. It has great proximity to Ocean City, Maryland. It's like, 35 minutes from Ocean City.
Right.
Berlin is down there, and that's another really cool old town.
I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people are moving from Berlin or moving to Berlin from this area. It seems to be growing there too. And I wonder if people are just moving there because of the affordability.
That's a big component. Taxes, everything. It's just a
Yeah.
lot lower.
I mean, I love where we live. The
too.
Baltimore-Washington corridor, I think it's great, but it's not an inexpensive place
At all.
to own a house.
That is for
sure.
sure.
And the other the driver of that area, you've got Salisbury University.
Right.
That's right. It's a
that's
college town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big
Which
college
Probably
town.
a big employer over there too.
Definitely. You've
Yeah.
got downtown Salisbury, which is only 2 miles from the university. That's designated a Main Street Maryland community. You got all your shops, restaurants, plenty of events always going on. The cool thing is you can get there by bike, car, or even kayak.
Oh,
'Cause you got the
nice.
Wacomico River.
Cool.
There's a lot of different
Yeah.
thoroughfares there.
Excuse me while I kayak to class.
Exactly.
I remember whenever you would be driving to Ocean City, you would drive through old Salisbury. And it's a really charming town. And you're right, the college is there, like old
Right.
churches, restaurants, these old taverns. But then they built that bypass, the highway.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take
that-
you through.
They
Old
wanted
Salisbury.
that for a reason.
Absolutely. But for for people who want to do a little bit of sightseeing on the way, it
You have
kind
to
of defeats that
you have to
purpose.
route through there.
Very cool.
There's a trolley service. So from the university during the semester, you can actually take a trolley to the downtown area. Students can at least. So that's another nice little little aspect of the area.
Very cool.
If you're in the college. So
That's really cool. I love to take day trips over there, and especially in the summertime. When you come right across the Bay Bridge, there is this little beach park called Terrapin Beach Park.
Yeah.
And it's you guys are from. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but
I used to ride my bike there all the time.
it's so peaceful. It's 276 acres. There's a cute little parking lot, and it's just easily accesses the walking trail there. They've got wetlands. And then I've actually brought the kids and brought bikes, and we just bike on that path, and it's peaceful, but it also feels really safe too, because especially when I'm alone with the kids, I like to make sure.
Oh yeah, I've
you
always
know,
felt safe over there.
Yeah. And then we just bike to the beach, bring a picnic, and sit out there. And
That's really nice.
I wouldn't say it's like swimmable or that, there's no lifeguard there, but it's just so peaceful.
There's not really
and-
waves either, so you could risk it.
That's
Pete, there's
true.
that path that runs from Roman Coke at the south. Doesn't it go all the way up to Love Point at the top of the island?
It does. I think it's called the East West, is it? No, I can't remember what the hell that's
Wouldn't
called.
be east-west.
No, it's the Cross County. What is it called?
Cross Island.
Shit. Cross Island, I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I used to ride my bike all the way that way
Yeah,
too.
I remember you telling me that.
And jog it too.
Nice.
Back when I was fit.
And now
was
you're making
like
us take the stairs to the second level.
Well, I got to try to catch up somehow. It was like a decade ago.
Yeah, that's really so. I love that beach park that's over there, and then a place I haven't been in years that I want to revisit, and I haven't gone since I've had the kids, is Assateague.
Oh, yeah.
To see the horses.
I haven't been there in years either, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
It really is. And I didn't realize how big that beach is. It's 37 miles long. And I was reading the best time to go is between like April and October.
Yep.
But a lot of people, there's actually two parts to Assateague. It's the Assateague Island National Seashore and then the Assateague State Park. So it's divided, and both sides have a campground, which is really cool. But I think a lot of people go there to see the horses.
Oh, definitely.
And if you're not familiar with Assateague and the wild horses,
it's all about the horses.
yeah, they've got the feral horses out there. They roam freely, and I was actually reading. Sometimes they try to get into people's cars and stuff, so you have to be kind of careful. But I have seen them in person, but it's been over 10 years since I've been there. But I want to take another trip back for sure.
Well, I know we all know Marcelo does, good friend, also does a lot of work. His family, they'll leave early in the morning, drive from Virginia to go to Assateague. They'll have, pack lunch and do that whole thing. And then they'll stay well into the evening because you can literally do campfires right on the beach. And they said that is the best part. Like when it starts to get dark, get the campfire going, just hang out there. You probably don't see as many horses then, but it's just like it gets cooler, and it's just that's their favorite time to be there.
You can drive on the beach too, which I have done before, not there, and I will never do it again because it was quite terrifying.
It's a good way to get a horse in your car.
A horse in your car.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, that's a really cool place. I want to head back there sometime soon with the kids. It's really just a great little beach, but. And then another thing we do when we actually go over to the Eastern Shore, there's the Hyatt Regency Cambridge.
That's a nice place.
I know. I've been to a wedding there years ago, but it's just a cool place to get away to if you live on our side of the bridge, just for a little mini vacation.
Yeah, just an overnight even.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's the beauty of crossing the Chesapeake Bay and being on the Eastern Shore is it's an hour away.
I know.
And it feels like a totally different place. So it can really feel like a vacation.
Absolutely.
Because it has that sort of kind of level of unfamiliarity, which is kind of exciting. So
it's affordable too. I mean, it depends on what time of year you go, but they've got an outdoor water park with a big slide, and they've got an indoor pool, and at night they play movies.
That's cool.
So
that is cool.
Yeah, after dinner they'll have, and it gets dark outside, they'll put a movie up on the big screen, and kids will be swimming, and it's really fun. They also do s'mores outside in a fire pit.
Oh, nice.
They've got boats you can rent. It's really fun.
Why don't we ever do s'mores here when we're recording?
Because you have to really like s'mores.
I love s'mores.
I'm not sure fire's welcome in our building.
Like open fire?
Yeah.
You can bring a lighter or something.
Get one of those little solo stoves, the tabletop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all you need.
That's true.
Just food for thought
I'd
for
just rather
future.
have chocolate and peanut butter.
We have talked about doing a class on opening
making?
crabs. No, opening
On what?
crabs.
S'more making.
No, we have talked about doing a crab cracking tutorial in our podcast. We're not in a really good crab month right now.
You can get them all year.
Well, that's true.
You're just getting them. You're not getting them out of the bay, so you're likely not to eat dead bodies also. No.
We can edit that out later.
They're coming out of the Gulf of America.
You know what? What a great segue. They are coming out of the Gulf of America right now. Yeah, absolutely. Down along the Louisiana shore and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and anywhere in the Gulf. They're year round there.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Anywho, another good place to stay on the Eastern Shore is the Inn at Perry Cabin. And what famous movie did we just talk about being filmed there?
I feel like it had an accident. Oh, a wedding
Psycho.
crasher.
No, but anyway, that's a cool place to stay. It's been a few years since I've stayed there.
It is a good one.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful place. It actually used to be, it was never meant to be an inn or like a hotel. It was always, it was actually an estate.
Oh, yeah.
They converted it into a hotel.
Very cool.
You can tell.
Which is really cool, yeah.
It's quite a place.
Yeah.
We were just over there recently. Actually, we went to at the Chesapeake.
Crashing a wedding.
No, I haven't done that in a long time. But the Chesapeake Bay Beach Club has a restaurant called Noxie's Table.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
I know that one.
okay.
It's really, really good.
Nice.
Anyway, I was just over there not too long ago. It's December, but anyway, that was really good.
Well, speaking of over there in any way,
Over there.
bridges and so forth, there's actually news. The governor announced on Tuesday of last week, so the 4th of February, that the design for the new Key Bridge, which we've kind of been covering, has been released. And for those of you who don't know what a cable, what do they call it? It's a cable stayed bridge. So
Okay.
it's really, I mean, it's like a work of art. The one that came to mind to me, I know we're a podcast, so you don't have images in front of you, but the Sunshine Skyway Bridge.
Paint word pictures, Pete.
Yeah, I am. Well, you have to have been over this too to appreciate
What does
it.
it look like?
It's the gateway to Tampa Bay. This one is like, it's going to be like twice. This one's like twice the size of what we're going to have, but it sees it's truly a pretty bridge.
Yeah.
There's no other way to kind of explain it. It's got these dramatic, big, thick cables that are just kind of, yeah, we'll put an image. You have to see it, but it's going to be beautiful.
We'll definitely put an image of it in the show notes. And, God bless the Francis Scott Key Bridge, the original one that just fell down. But it was a very kind of
shitty design.
industrial looking,
and
there
easy
was
to
nothing,
take down.
well, yeah, but there was nothing pretty about it necessarily. So
This is going to be like truly a work of art.
Right.
Really, really beautiful.
Exactly.
So, excited about that.
Speaking of bridges,
Oh, wait, there's more.
does it freak you guys out to drive over the Bay Bridge to
Not
the
at
Eastern
all.
Shore?
No,
It freaks a lot of people out.
no.
Did you know? I think you guys do.
Yeah, I've seen
You're
those
nodding.
cars there many a times.
The escort services?
Yes.
Yeah.
They stop right on the other side.
So I
Yep.
never believed it, so I called them this morning.
$20 or $40. What's it cost?
It's $40
Yeah.
if you pay cash, $50 if you pay with a credit card.
Right.
You have to call an hour in advance,
Yeah.
and then you have to call when you're close. But they will literally drive your car over the bridge for you.
While you petrify in the back seat and not look, is that the whole deal? Like
Yeah.
you're still going over the bridge.
We should have that guy on the podcast because I want to hear stories.
Yeah.
That's a good call. We
Yeah.
should
There's
definitely
been
do
a lot
that.
of bad things happen in the back of that car.
But if you think about it, I mean, you and I drive it all the time. We're used to driving it. But, for those who aren't accustomed to it, first of all, it's a very long bridge. It's over 4 miles long. And I think at its height, it's like
4.3 and 4.4.
300
I don't know
feet
that-
above
yeah.
water.
Oh, okay.
But it's way up there.
It is.
Um,
And you get the crosswinds.
you get the crosswinds, and when you're at the highest point and you kind of look over, you're way above
You
the water.
really
It can be
yeah.
it can be creepy, and there's no shoulder. If
The
you
expansion joints are ever changing and all
but
that.
if you're having car trouble, you're stuck because there's no shoulder.
that part freaks me
Yeah.
out.
So I've been over it when I had my motorcycle in the middle of a severe thunderstorm.
Really?
That will scare the shit out of you. I mean, you've got to lean sideways because it's
We're
so
gonna
windy.
have to bleep stuff out on this one.
I don't know. Can we say shit on a
I think we
podcast? We've
just-
said
No,
it 3
because
times
we're classified
now.
as clean.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Shit's not clean.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah.
We'll have to. Boop. Yeah, but that will scare the hell out of me every time.
Yeah.
Hell's okay. I think. Hell's clean.
HE double hockey sticks.
HE double hockey sticks.
So we were crossing a bridge years and years ago, and you guys know my kids, and
The one over troubled water.
no, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Oh.
My kids, I have 4 kids. They're all grown adults. They're good people. They're
Awesome kids.
Thank you. They're all very funny in their own way, and I think it was how they were kind of brought up. Like we would throw them in the van and go on a drive, and we would play the what if game. So I'd be driving. I'd say, "Hey kids, what if I don't know? What if all human beings had a third hand growing out of the top of their head?" And then they would just kind of go with it.
Oh, okay. I
And-
like that.
And then we started doing this other thing where someone says a phrase and you make it into a band name.
Give us an example, John.
I'll give you quite a few examples. My son Connor has compiled a list, and he shared with me some of the names on his band name list.
Connor's greatest hits.
Handsy Chimpanzee, The Father Figures of Speech, Julia Robots,
Okay.
Bastard Crab, Turtle Recall, The Foreskin of Dorian Gray.
Oh my
wow.
god.
Yeah, so there's that. And then the other thing that my kids do is, if someone says something and it's just like a slightly bit inappropriate, they'll say, "That's my old high school nickname."
Right.
So, for
I
instance,
wonder
like,
where they got that from,
we
John.
did this the other day at the coffee shop.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you go to the coffee shop and you order caramel macchiato with extra caramel drizzle, you say, "Oh, that's my old high school nickname,
I love
extra
it.
caramel drizzle." So anyway, all of that to say, my son Connor and I were driving to the beach, and this is quite a few years ago. We crossed the Bay Bridge and we landed on Kent Island. And we were crossing Kent Island, and there was a sign, and suddenly we were crossing the Kent Narrows Bridge. Mm-hmm. And my son Connor put on his creative comedy hat and started telling me this story about how that bridge was named after a person from colonial times named Kent Narrows. And he's totally making this up.
Yeah,
and he goes on to tell me this whole backstory that Kent had a wife named Tilda.
Oh.
No, literally. And to this day, he still talks about Kent and Tilda Narrows and how the bridge was named after them.
So wait, did you believe this story?
Well, of course not.
Okay.
But he just, you know how Pete will Pete never forgets a good insult.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Connor's that way with his storytelling.
Oh, okay.
And he just goes and goes and goes.
Oh.
And he asked me to remind you that he has two characters that he would be willing to have on the podcast
Oh,
We've gotta
okay.
do
to
that.
talk about Maryland and Baltimore City.
Oh,
One
I
of them is
see.
Tony Clifton Park.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Don't ask.
Yep.
My favorite though is Lexington Marcus.
He's got when he's in
When he's in town, I don't know, but we'll
He's
have to
gotta
have Lexington
Lock him-
Marcus.
lock-
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We'd have them both. I think
All
they
of
both
this-
need to come here.
Both of them. Yeah. All of this is a very long way around. Talking to you guys about the Pocomoke War of 1635.
Oh, do enlighten me.
How in the world did I get there
I
from
have-
talking about my kids and
be
their
honest,
silly comedy habits?
I have no idea.
So Connor's talking to me about Kent and Tilda Narrows.
Okay.
And I'm listening to him, and then I tune him out. Then I roll down the window and I turn up the radio really loud. But it got me thinking that I didn't really know the history of Kent Island. So later, I did a bit of a deep dive into Kent Island, and I found out that there was actually a war that was fought in 1635. It was a naval conflict right over there in the Chesapeake Bay between Maryland and those sly Virginians to our south.
Okay.
And it was over territorial control
always
and trading
is.
rights. It always is, buddy. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The conflict was a direct result of disputes between William Claiborne of Virginia and the newly established colony of Maryland under Lord Baltimore.
Who's having an affair with Tilda Narrows at the time?
Connor will definitely talk to you about that. Absolutely. So what happened was William Claiborne, he was a prominent figure in Virginia, and he'd established a trading post on Kent Island in 1631 under a license from the Virginia government, and he viewed the island as part of Virginia's territory.
Wow.
Pump the brakes, guys.
Whoa.
Because in 1632, King Charles of England granted a charter to Lord Baltimore, creating the province of Maryland, and it included Kent Island.
As it should.
So there was a dispute, and the dispute escalated as Claiborne continued his trading operations, that dirty Virginian, on Kent Island.
Uh-oh.
It came to fruition in this big conflict. In April 1635, Maryland's authorities, led by Governor Leonard Calvert, sent forces to challenge Claiborne's activities. And Claiborne retaliated by arming his vessels, leading to armed naval confrontation in the Pocomoke Sound, which is located just south of the Delmarva Peninsula.
Okay.
And in the most notable engagement, Claiborne's ship, the Longtail, was attacked and seized by Maryland forces, and lives were lost.
Take that, you dirty Virginian.
Telling you, man. But we emerged victorious, and to this day, thanks to us, Kent Island is Maryland.
Okay. I was
But
about to ask, so what ended up happening?
it's ours.
Yeah.
And it will always be ours. I do think we need to keep an eye on our shady neighbors to the south.
Apparently.
God bless them. And, in Texas, they have Remember the Alamo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think we should begin a Remember Kent Island for Maryland. Maybe get some T-shirts,
I feel like
print
the
it up.
Alamo's a little bigger
I don't
story.
know. I think maybe Ali Von Paris could make us some swag.
Probably.
That's true.
Yeah.
I bet she
Be her
could.
smallest sale ever.
So thanks to my children's comedy,
Creativity, yep.
my son Connor's story about Kent and Tildaneros, I was able to share the story of the Great Pocomoke War of 1635.
I love that.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's some good history right there.
Can't wait to have his characters on the podcast.
Lexington Marcus.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I mean, I'm so glad we got to really talk. We took a deep dive into the Eastern Shore today, which I think is so necessary
We
because there's
only
so much
touched
good
the
stuff.
tip of what's over there.
It's the tip of the Eastern Shore iceberg,
It
buddy
is.
boy. It
Yeah.
really
There's
is.
so much more over there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yep.
And we learned a little bit about what's going on with the bridge. So
Yeah.
Yeah. That it is beautiful. I'm excited that we have a vision now.
I forgot to share something that is very interesting.
I'm
about
sorry,
the
we're
Bay
out of time,
Bridge.
Megan. Go ahead.
Oh, a bridge story.
Did you know that when the Bay Bridge was constructed and it was opened in 1952, that it was the world's largest continuous overwater structure?
Of course I did. Where have you been?
Oh.
Oh, you were from Maine. That's
I
right.
knew that. It's quite a bridge.
And did you know
Yeah.
that one span is longer than the other?
I think I'm in charge.
Oh, that's right. This is your bridge story.
Yeah, Megan's owning this bridge story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please, lady from Maine, enlighten us.
But anyway, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is
So.
very interesting.
One thing I didn't get clear: do you get do you get anxious crossing the bridge, driving over
I
the bridge?
don't. It doesn't bother
Okay.
me. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. When you think about it, it is kind of nerve wracking when you're up at the top and you're looking down.
It's really when you think about the Key Bridge and you're on the Bay Bridge that it becomes an issue.
That's very, very
And there's
true.
big boats under you. That's kind of when it's a little sketch.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I know when I worked at Bank of America, we had a girl who was a teller at our branch, and she lived over there, and she eventually had to stop coming. She ended up having to transfer branches because she couldn't drive over
Yeah.
the bridge. And I think it's very common. And
It
I
is.
don't think it's nice that you guys are making fun of these people at all. But
Well, they just tighten it up a little bit.
No, I'm not making fun of them.
I'm
No.
teasing.
I mean, some
No,
people
there's-
have like fear of heights, agoraphobia.
It's a
Yeah,
legit phobia.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of people that are affected by any
Absolutely.
bridge, not just. I mean, I was Chesapeake Bay's a long bridge over 4.3 miles on one span, and the newer span's 4.4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
now, you
just
know
for
what
that
bridge
It's a lot.
does freak me out? There's that other bridge, the Chesapeake, the Bay Bridge
Tunnel.
Tunnel.
That's a
Now,
long-
That's in
Oh,
Virginia.
bridge.
That's in Virginia. And that
Yeah.
thing is weird.
Yeah,
It's
like
a bridge,
overlay.
then
Yep.
it goes
Tunnel. Yeah.
into the bay as a tunnel, pops back
That's
out.
an experience.
Yeah, it
I
is.
I like that. Though.
That one's a no for me. I don't like
It's
that one.
kind of an engineering marvel.
It is.
I mean,
It's
Yeah.
17 miles
I know.
long.
Yeah.
No.
That's a commitment.
I don't like tunnels anyway. I don't like the Baltimore tunnel. I don't like tunnels.
I like when you see a little bit of water coming out of one of the walls, and just waiting for that cartoon moment.
I was driving through it on the way to Maine with my mother, and I asked her if tunnels made her nervous, and she was like, "No." And then she's like, "Well, I guess I do start thinking about being underwater and what that could potentially mean." And then
Yeah.
it
Means
is
game
kind of
over.
scary.
They say that that's like the most peaceful way to go out if you have to choose one.
They don't really. They're
exactly-
not around to tell us the real story, though.
Well, that's true. But apparently it's just,
You black out and then you die.
yeah.
Yeah. No, this...
And on that note,
I think it's a wrap.
Well,
Very
thank you.
uplifting ending.
Thank you to all our listeners today. We hope you enjoyed this information about the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
And bridges and such.
bridges and history and made up historical figures and
Drowning.
Yeah.
drowning.
yeah.
Death
Super
by drowning.
uplifting.
Super, super uplifting. But we will share some information on our Instagram page to some of the topics that we talked about today, like Assateague, Terrapin Beach Park, some of the history we'll share on the
Absolutely.
The new
Instagram
Sunshine Skyway Bridge
yeah
image.
We'll get a picture of. Did you
Yeah.
find a picture of
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
good.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll post those on the Instagram page, which is Maryland Living Podcast on Instagram.
And if you'd like to send us a message directly, you can text us from right inside the show notes on any of the platforms.
And share. Please share podcasts and things that you see on the Instagram page.
Thank you for reminding them, our listeners, to share, Megan. But I'd also like to take a moment and thank everyone for listening. I mean, we're getting such a high level of listenership. I think more than we ever expected.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We thought we were just talking to ourselves.
So I was looking last night, and we have people now in Finland who are listening to us. We have listeners in Ireland, and they've been with us for a few weeks now, but someone over there in Finland, it's Helsinki, is listening to the Maryland Living Podcast. So that's kind of cool.
Bored people throughout the world.
Yeah.
And really all the Eastern
Yeah,
United
awesome.
States too. We've got a lot of people from Maine to Florida, which is cool.
Oh, yeah, we've peppered the states pretty good already.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
And, connecting with you is important to us.
it is, and we're so appreciative, and we thank you so much for all of the positive feedback. Continue to listen. Please subscribe, like, and share. And from all of us here to all of you,
Stay safe in the snow today.
Stay safe in the snow.
Maryland
today. I was
living.
thinking we should come up with like a inspirational sign off, like keep on living that Maryland life.
Oh, I like that.
I'm not sure.
No,
Something like that.
All right, I'll
Something
work
better.
on that.
Maybe we could incorporate some of our John-isms, like
we love that.
Not sure what I think about that.
Like, I hope that you make a valuable use of your time in
Okay.
Maryland today.
All right, and on that note, adios.
Peace out.
You